Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, America. How are you doing? I'm your host, Daniel Stafford, and you are listening to the Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. Tonight's show topics include the ongoing saga of the VA, some patriotic students, lowering the standards for teachers, profiles in history, and quite a bit more, actually. So sit back, buckle up, and hang on, because we are just getting started, and as we get things going and underway, I want to remind you there are many ways to listen, whether it is right here on the YouTubes, on Spreaker, on Stitcher, or iHeart. Wherever you are, set the channel as a favorite, whatever you have to do, so you don't get left behind, because if for some strange, crazy reason you do miss the show, you can catch the replay. So just sit tight. There's no need to panic, because, hey, I've got you. In the case you aren't already following on social media, find me over on Twitter or the Gabs at Stafford Voice. Again, that is at Stafford Voice on Twitter or Gab. Or you can find me over on Grassfire, Facebook, Instagram, any other social site of your choosing, wherever, whenever you are there. Just search for the Stafford Voice, and that's right, we'll be there. If we're not there, let me know on one of the other sites, and I'll come find you, or I'll sign up and join, whatever we have to do. Because I want to be there with you. I don't want to be there alone. I want to link up. I want to talk to you. I want to talk with you. I want to chat about things. What's happening in your life? How are some of these topics that we're going to be talking about tonight, how are they impacting you? Because that's really what this is all about. Refill, I'm going to get to that in just a minute. I'll get to it in just a minute. So hang in. Also, I want to remind you, if you have not done so, please head over to thestaffordvoice.com. Sign up for our newsletter. I'm feeling a little behind, a little overwhelmed with it, because I feel like I am so far behind on working on the newsletter. So I'm hoping to get it out Wednesday, which is the 15th. I try and get it out no later than the 15th of the month. Anyway, I don't spam you. I don't do any of that crazy stuff that a lot of other hosts and websites do. I hate that. By the way, an update to Army John, if he is listening or watching and has yet to pop into the chat. I did get to inbox 0. I forgot to update him on that. We've got a lot to catch up on. We seriously do. So let's just, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get into it. And as we do, I need to update Refill on this, because he had talked to us about, Girl Scout. The Girl Scouts have a couple of boxes of cereal out, and he recommended one of the Thin Mints. And I am going to admit right here, right now, I ate the whole box at once. Yes, I'm not joking. I ate the whole thing. It was fantastic. And Slick, I know, it was before, that was Saturday. Sunday was the start of summer shredding. That's how I'm going to justify it. It did not fit into my macros, does not fit into them right now. I did really, really good today. Unfortunately, I was not able to vlog about it today. Mondays are really, really difficult to vlog and to get stuff out there for you. And on top of that, late yesterday after church, we got home from church, and I sat down on the couch and tried to relax, because last week just seemed to be like a long week. It was absolutely ridiculous. Kansas weather is stupid. Crazy is an understatement. It's absolutely redonkulous. Let me explain. The reason why we weren't able to go onto the air last week, Monday night, this time, is because we had some crazy storms coming in on us. And here's the problem. The problem was they were tornadic. There is a small little airport about 5 miles away from us. One of the hangars sustained some damage. There were a couple of small little planes that were tipped over about 40 miles north of us. It was about 40 miles north of us. There was a small little EF-2 that did some damage. There was about, probably 30 to 40 miles to the east of us. There was an EF-3 where they sustained some damage. So the last thing we wanted to do was put ourselves at risk by doing this and risk having to shut everything down in a hurry so we could, get down in the bunker. Is it refill over in the chat? And by the way, if you're not chatting with us in the YouTube chats, jump over there and say hi. Pop in there, at least say hi. Let me know you're listening. Or if you're not that kind of person and you can jump over to klrnradio.com/chat as well. It's a little more free-flowing over there. You can drop links and all kinds of stuff over there. The YouTube side is a little more difficult in order to do that, but nonetheless, we're there. We got both of them up. I'm trying to monitor them. I think Slick is trying to pull double duty and keep an eye on both of them as well. I really appreciate that. So Refill wants to know, is it true that in Kansas the twisters actually take you to other lands with yellow brick roads? He saw a documentary about that once, so that's why he's asking. Yes. It is completely true. If you're... Now, in all actuality, I'm being 100% real with you right now, as always. I was really hoping that it was our turn, and because we've got a shed out back, I was really hoping that one of these times that a tornado is going to come, pick up our shed, and drop it, and we emerge out of the bunker, and I look and I see Nancy Pelosi's slippers underneath. I was just hoping. It didn't happen. I'm not going to say I was a little upset about it, but it kind of bothered me. Oh, anyway. So, yes, we are safe and sound. I apologize. Thursday. So I'm telling you, we got a lot of stuff to catch up on. Thursday, I get home, and there's a car parked out front. It just so happened to be that the kids were over. The wife, Roxanne, was going to be going over to... she had a church function for women only that she was going to be going to, and so she invited our daughter-in-law, Jessica, to go with her. And as they were there, apparently, earlier that day, they were able to go to get a sonogram and we found out that the little baby bug that she's carrying, our grandchild, is going to be a boy. So that was the exciting news. That's what kept us from going on air Thursday night. Last week just was completely busy at all. It was stupid. So let's go back to the weather for just a second. Monday, we had tornadoes in the area. And then the rest of the week, we had like sunny and 65 and 70 all week. Friday, it kind of cooled off down to about, 45 or 50. Saturday, it snowed. Welcome to Kansas. And right now, outside, it's 30 degrees. If I had my phone, I would show you. Anyway, so yeah, super excited. We already went out and picked up a couple of outfits for him. They've already decided on a name. And Tina, I am really starting to understand how much fun grandbabies are. And he's not even here yet. So let me tell you, they've decided on a name. They're going to name him Gavin Edward. I really like the fact that they brought in some family nostalgia with it. Edward was the middle name of Jessica's grandfather, and her and him, they were really, really close. So I 100% respect that portion of the name. And Gavin, I don't know where Daniel, our son, came up with Gavin. It's always been a name that he's talked about, that or Jeff. I'm glad he didn't pick Jeff. No offense to any Jeffs who might be out there listening, but there is a particular Jeff out there that I'm not a big fan of, but that's for personal reasons. I'm not going to hold a grudge to this particular one. Anyway, so that's where we're at right now. Where are we at? Oh yeah, so Slick says Jeffs are usually gay. Did I actually repeat that out loud? Oh, anyway. Okay, so I heard this earlier today, and I have yet to share this with the wife, and I'm glad she's in here with me. A moth. There was this moth who, flying around all weekend, he was struggling with some things going on in his head. He was dealing with some personal issues. So he wanted to go and see a doctor. So he went to a podiatrist, and he sat there, and the podiatrist is like, "All right, Mr. Moth, what's the deal?" And he said, "Okay, let me explain. I've got family issues. My kids they refuse to listen to me. My wife could care less. I mean, we're not active in particular rooms in the house. We're not active in the bedroom. The rest of our family just disowns me. They hate me. And so here I am." And the podiatrist is like, he says to the moth, "Well, you do realize I'm a podiatrist. It sounds like you need a psychiatrist so you can talk about these kind of things, because that's kind of what they do. I'm a podiatrist." Well, the moth looks at him and says, "Well, I mean, you're a doctor, right?" And he's like, podiatrist is like, "Yes, but I'm a podiatrist. You need a psychiatrist." So, okay, I get it. You need somebody to talk to. What brought you here? And the moth looked at him and said, "Well, your light was on." But listen, I laughed about that joke for probably 30 minutes today. Anyway, I thought I'd share it with you guys. If it sucked, I'm sorry, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. Okay. Nobody in the chat is responding. I don't think they liked my joke. They didn't like it. Okay. Okay, note to self. No more jokes. Let's get... Tina says it was corny. It was. It's a corny joke, but it was funny nonetheless. I mean, there's a moth and the light was on. Yep. Anyway, sorry. I like corny jokes. Thought I'd share it with you. Okay. What's not corny? This stuff. These two right here are infuriating. What are we talking about here? Obviously, you've never met a moth with feet. It's not like he walked into a bar. Anyway. Okay, Anne, here's one for you. What do you call a fly without wings? If anybody in the chat room wants to respond, go ahead. So let's talk about our first story. Our first thing tonight is I want to talk about the VA. Oh no, he's on a roll. No, it's a fly. I want to know what you call a fly without wings. It's not a roll. Oh, anyway. Is Ron in here? I missed him. Yep. There he is. Howdy from the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. Oh, yes, it's kind of like deja vu because you guys were chatting it up over on the KLR Inside. Okay. Get this. Unions are trying to shut down one little thing. Hi, Ron. One little thing in order that Washington is actually trying to do to work on fixing the VA. Unions. What am I talking about? And no, Slick, it's not a crash. You'd call it a walk. You get it? Walk. But oh, corny jokes. Okay, it's a fly without wings. Seriously, it can't fly. It's a walk. Walks everywhere. Okay, so where are we going with this? Okay, lawmakers are trying again, this time with support from the Department of Veterans Affairs to, yes, I agree, Slick, to give the VA secretary more power to fire, demote, or suspend poor-performing employees to recoup their bonuses. Okay, well, let's take this a step further. What are we talking about here? Complementary bills were introduced in the House and Senate last week to give the VA Secretary, David Shulkin, those authorities. The legislation would also shorten the timeline VA employees have to appeal any disciplinary action against them and require quicker determinations from the Merit Systems Protection Board, which hears the appeals. Army John, what's up, brother? I see you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, buddy. Okay, so last year there was an outcry from the VA, from the veterans community, when the Merit Systems Protection Board reversed the VA's attempt to fire two executives who were found to have manipulated the hiring system to move to positions of lesser responsibility while maintaining the same salary. Okay. Before we go any farther, I completely agree. These two... I can't think of anything nice to call them. I can't think of anything nice to call them. These two particular individuals should have been fired on the spot. And Ron, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. Ron says he's been dealing with some stuff and some depression. It's not been a lot of fun for the last few months. Let me tell you, if you need anybody to talk to at any given time, hit me up. If you need to get in contact, you know how to get in contact with me. Do not soak it in. It only makes it worse. Trust me. So if you need somebody to chat with, hit me up. Okay. If I was in charge of these two nimwads, I would have fired them on the spot once I found out that they were trying to manipulate the system. And even trying to... So they're manipulating the system in order to work out for their benefit. So they suck at their job. They're told that they need to find a different place to work. So what do? They try to reassign themselves to a lesser role, but keep the same pay. Oh. McFly! Oh, okay. So, what got the unions in an uproar with this? Well, Trump's 10-point plan for VA reform that was released during his campaign talked about asking Congress to pass legislation to give the VA secretary more disciplinary authority. And I completely agree. We know, because we've talked about this on previous shows, that Shulkin has listed accountability as one of his top priorities. We need more accountability, and I completely agree. So he said, this comes from an opinion piece that was posted on Fox News. He said, quote, "If there is evidence that an employee has broken the law, caused harm to veterans, or have violated the public trust, they should be terminated immediately. Instead, due to overly cumbersome and lengthy arbitrations, as well as extensive bureaucratic red tape, VA has not been able to remove employees as quickly as we would have liked." So, what they did was they put out this, what did they put out some... What did I call it? They put out these bills to the House and Congress. Or the House and the Senate, I'm sorry. They put out these two bills, and in order to try and rein this in, how did they word this? Okay, it says that the law allows federal employees 30 days advance written notice before they're fined or demoted. The new legislation cuts that to 10 days. The bill would also require the appeals board to issue a decision on a demotion or termination in 45 days. Data last year from the board showed it took an average... We want to know where the problem is? Right here. Data last year from the board showed it took an average of 281 days. 281 days. That is... That's like 2/3 to 3/4 of a year. Okay? And the whole time they're collecting taxpayer dime and sucking off the teat of everybody. This stuff ticks me off. And okay, so where did some of these problems start? Leadership. This is lack of leadership, actually. Former VA Secretary Bob McDonald responded to the bill by reiterating the VA, quote, "can't fire its way to excellence." No, but if you get rid of these nimwads that are doing stuff like this, we can at least start fixing it. They're part of the problem. You can't fix a problem unless you remove the thing that is causing the problem. McFly, look, it's not a soft spot. We're not idiots here. This is common sense. In the private sector of things, at anybody's job, If this kind of crap continued, you're out. You know, there's no 3-strike rule. And, okay, well, we need to go sit in front of the board because your feelings, I can see, have been triggered. And even though it's snowing outside, this Snowflake Award just isn't for you. So we're going to have to go visit the board and let them talk about it for a year. And I need you just to sit at home and think about what you did. Just think about what you did. The crap doesn't work. Okay. Here's where the union gets involved. The American Federation of Government Employees, which is a union that represents approximately 270,000 VA employees. Let me say that again. A union representing roughly 200 and some thousand VA employees. They call this bill terrible, and they said it would strip employees of their due process rights. And in this article, they had said that the Federation's concern is mostly centered on a measure in the new legislation that goes a step further from the original and would eliminate VA employees' option to initiate a grievance procedure through their unions. Currently, an employee facing discipline who doesn't want to appeal through the Merit Systems Protection Board can issue a complaint with their union, which could be resolved through collective bargaining. That process can be lengthy and open-ended, congressional aides said. And as we know, these boards take on average 281 days. That's an average, ladies and gentlemen, an average of 200 and some days. They want to be able to get that down to 45 days. Bravo. Okay. Here's something else that has kind of triggered unions. Also in the legislation is a change to allow the VA secretary to reduce the pension of a VA employee who receives a felony conviction if it influenced their job performance. The secretary could recoup bonuses if employees performed poorly on the job. And listen, I have another story right here about this very thing. The secretary could recoup bonuses if employees performed poorly on the job and recoup relocation expenses if employees were found to have committed fraud, waste, or malfeasance. However, in this next story that we're going to link to here in just a second is going to flip your lid, okay? You're off. It's gone. So here's what happens. The union plans to reach out to members of Congress in an attempt to fight against legislation. Shulkin said, if the union decides they're not able to change, we're going to continue anyway. We hope to work with them, but they certainly don't have the ability to stop us from making the changes we need to. Thank you, organized crime ring called the unions. You suck once again. And guys, I am so sorry. You guys are chatting up a storm. I can't keep up with any of you guys tonight. Needless to say, I totally forgot to set the timer. As you can tell, it is not counting down. So I'm having to pay attention to the clock. We've got... Huh? I am too. I got like 2 other clocks to watch. So, we've got like 25 minutes left, so we're good. And you know what? If we don't get to all of these stories, that's fine. We may not even take a break. But, so, here, check this out. So, right here, check rebelroadtactical.com out for the greatest handmade custom Kydex holsters. You tell him what kind of what you're packing, what your carry is, and he hooks it up. You're the highest quality when it comes to handmade Kydex holsters. I mean, if you haven't done so after the show, don't quit watching the show to go watch what he posted out earlier over the weekend, I think. Go check out Rebel Road Tactical on YouTube. He put together a fantastic video of what goes into producing one of these holsters. I was fascinated. I watched the whole thing. It's like 25 minutes long. It was great. It was really cool. Also, Crazy Good Eats, they're not open on Mondays. I'm happy they're not, but sad they're not. I'm happy because I could sit there all night and eat barbecue, but sad because I would really love to be fueled by Crazy Good Eats. And by the way, Refill, I was telling our friends, the owners over at Crazy Good Eats, that you're not happy with me because I keep talking about them all the time, and you told me that it was going to take 16 hours to drive from, to drive all the way here. And my response, they asked, so what? I said that just let me know when you get in town and I'll meet you. And I don't know if that sat too well with him, but the owners they both laughed, and it's phenomenal. Tried to 22 hours, that's pretty rough. I'm glad I don't have that drive. I think we did it was like 18 hours. It was like 18 hours when we drove straight through from Washington DC. Oh, maybe it was only 16. Yeah, that's true. See, Roxanne's she's the brains behind the operation. I'm the one with a face for radio, okay? She's the one with the face for this whole TV thing. Okay. Also, if you haven't done so, please head over to grassfire.com. Sign up. It is a great social media site. Like-minded individuals. Check out realamericatv.com. Both of those sites are linked together. Some fantastic individuals over there. I recommend it. You don't have to worry about trolls. Let's just put it that way. You don't have to worry about trolls. It's great. It's broken down into groups. So if you want to talk about one particular topic, you can talk about it. Go check it out. Check it out for yourself, grassfire.com. Okay, let me get that ready for later. Okay, where are we at? Oh yeah, more VA. I'm there, but haven't taken the time to figure out Grassfire. Well, it is kind of wonky once you get started. And I'm telling you, if you're ever in the Kansas City area, I am forever going to be disappointed if you forget to look me up so we can meet in person and go out for barbecue at Crazy Good Eats. I will cover it. Okay? And don't worry about it. Okay. So let's jump back into more on this whole VA fiasco. And sorry, but I realize we have been talking about the VA a lot lately. It seems like it's a regular segment on the show, but this stuff pisses me off. And this one right here gets my blood boiling. Here is the headline, which caused me to be sent into orbit. Report: VA physician not disciplined for performing unnecessary heart surgeries on vets. A federal whistleblower agency released a report Thursday last week, confirming that a Department of Veterans Affairs VA physician performed totally unnecessary and invasive surgeries on veterans and lied about the total number to give off the impression of productivity. The Office of Special Counsel wrote a letter to both the White House and Congress summarizing everything, and that they'd said that this has dragged on for years of veterans being abused by a physician. The whistleblower herself, this goes all the way back to 2013. Her name was Dr. Lisa Nee. She was a former cardiologist at the Hines VA Medical Center in Illinois. 4 years later, the OSC, the Office of Special Counsel, has concluded that she was right based on the reports that they collected from the VA Inspector General and the Office of Medical Inspector, and stated that numerous incredibly invasive heart surgeries performed by this particular physician, quote, were not indicated in 70% of the cases, and the standard of care was not met in 80% of those cases. They also determined that more than 80% of echocardiograms performed were, quote, technically inadequate. Does this not piss you off? Let me know in the chat. If this pisses you off, let me know, because I'm fuming at this. Why? Let me get into it. The Office of Medical Inspector concluded, quote, the deficiencies did not pose a substantial and significant danger to public health or safety. Hello, we're performing surgeries that don't need to be done, and you're calling this, you're saying this does not pose a substantial or specific danger to public health or safety? This is beyond ridiculous, Tina. This is beyond ridiculous. The Office of Medical Inspector, the OMI, believes there was no danger to public health or safety, and no disciplinary action has been taken against the physician. What's worse, the OMI also found that the physician fabricated patient visits and some of the procedures he performed to make it look like he was being productive. But if you remember, we can't fire these anal cavities. We can't fire them. We can't take a block of C4 and shove it up their keister. As much as I would not bother being that, I wouldn't even worry about putting a glove on, Slick. I'm ready to shove some stuff up somebody's backside. This is beyond ridiculous. And as we all know, Shulkin, the VA Secretary, David Shulkin, is ready to get to business. Let's see, late in February, he said, quote, when you have 1 or 2 or 3 people who really aren't doing their job, they bring everybody down. And so the very best thing I know from my private sector experience is you've got to deal with that. You've got to get them out of the system, because it helps not only the veterans, but the people who work in VA who are trying to do the right thing for veterans. Well, if that's not enough, the icing on the cake came in form of an update just a few days ago, where it said that the spokesman claimed that the Administrative Investigation Board found that the inflated numbers declared by the physician was not intentional, but rather a combination of software error, poor training, and poor documentation. You've got to be effing kidding me. We're going to blame unnecessary surgeries and crappy echocardiograms on software errors or poor training and poor documentation. And my wife wonders why I don't want to go to the doctor ever. I don't want to go to the doctor because these nimwads like this, are practicing. They have yet to figure the crap out. There's a joke there, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Maybe the Russians hacked the VA software and screwed it up for the rest of us. I apologize, I can't keep up with the chat. You guys are chatty tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got serious problems. And we've really got to get to business trying to fix them. This has gone on for so many years. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if we don't... I'm looking at the time, and I want to get to this. If we have time after this next segment to do these other two stories, then we'll cover it. They're short and quick, but I want to make sure that I get in your guys' favorite and mine. Profiles in history. The path put in front of him by his father was never supposed to lead him into politics. Thomas Lynch Jr. was born on August 5th, 1749, on his father's plantation on the Santee River in South Carolina. His father wanted the best for him, and this included his education. Sent abroad at the age of 12, Lynch attended Eton School in England. Then he graduated from Cambridge University and studied law at Middle Temple in London, all of which was part of his father's plan. When Thomas returned to America in 1772, he broke the news to his father that he didn't like law. So his father altered the plans and deeded Peachtree Plantation, located on the Santee River, for him to run. Now, Lynch soon married Elizabeth Shubrick. Her sister married another future signer of the Declaration of Independence, Edward Rutledge. Like his father, Lynch was drawn into the Revolution and was a member of the First and Second Provincial Congresses of South Carolina. In July of 1775, Thomas Lynch Jr. accepted the position of captain in the 1st South Carolina Regiment. His father wasn't all that pleased with the decision, as he wanted him to come to Philadelphia, where he might be able to get a higher commission in the Continental Army. In 74, they sent Thomas Lynch Sr. to Philadelphia. Being a delegate descended of Irishmen who had long hated the crown, Sr. could be relied upon not to rashly empower a new government, but early in 76 he suffered a stroke and was unable to leave his bed. Searching for a substitute, South Carolina decided to send Thomas Lynch Jr. to tend to his father's care and to vote in Congress on various matters in his father's stead. The Lynches were the only father-son team serving in Congress at the same time, and Lynch Sr. didn't do much in Congress following his stroke. Though Thomas Jr. had been exposed to malaria during the military service in South Carolina and was sick himself, he still managed to monitor the debates, hurrying back each night to their Philadelphia flat, briefing his ailing father on the events of the day. His father's health didn't improve enough for him to sign the Declaration of Independence along with his son on August 2nd. In deference to his position in the South Carolina delegation, however, a generous empty space was left on the document for him to sign. The space for Thomas Lynch Sr. between South Carolina delegates Edward Rutledge and Thomas Hayward Jr. remains to this day. Lynch, who turned 27 3 days after signing the Declaration, started home with his ailing father. In Annapolis, Maryland, however, Lynch's father suffered another stroke and passed away. Since he was the only son, he inherited a great deal of responsibilities, but Lynch's own health problems remained, and he retired from public life. In 1779, at the age of 30, a sickly Thomas, in search of a cure, embarked on a trip to the south of France by way of the West Indies. He and wife Elizabeth boarded a ship in South Carolina and sailed down the east coast of America toward the Caribbean. It is believed they got as far as modern-day Statia in the Netherlands Antilles. Now, their next trip to Europe most likely hit a storm, and they were never seen again. At the age of 30, Thomas Lynch Jr. wasn't the first signer to die, but he was the youngest. And that is this week's Profiles in History. That was fascinating. Very, very interesting to learn about Thomas Lynch Jr. I would have never in a million years guessed how that would have turned out. I mean, it's like that ship hit the Bermuda Triangle or something, and it's forever gone. He could still be out there floating around somewhere, or sitting at the bottom of the ocean. Okay. I wanted to fit that in because we need a change of pace. Okay? And I realize we're kind of running low on time. But let's talk about some patriotic students, shall we? Ron says aliens in the Bermuda Triangle. Well, they got a patriot with that guy. Oh, okay. Patriotic students, shall we? John, cookies are not in my diet. I can't have cookies. She didn't make any cookies this weekend. She's shaking her head vigorously. No, we did not make cookies. I'm sorry, and you're making my stomach scream right now, because cookies sound incredible. Oh my gosh. Oh, anyway, I've already had my snack. Slick, you'd be really proud of me. Here's what I'm doing. I've got this super tiny little tub of plain vanilla, ultra low carb ice cream. I get 2 spoonfuls, and I'm not talking giant spoonfuls of ice cream here. I'm talking like 1 bite. It's enough ice cream to be on a spoon, and you take 1 bite. That's it. We're not talking, maybe I need a bigger spoon. But I give myself 2. That's it. It doesn't even register on the macros scale. Okay? It really doesn't. I did really, really good today. I did really good yesterday. Saturday, not so much. Anyway, since Sunday morning last week to this morning, I'm down 3 pounds. I wish I could go for a bigger spoon, Slick, but I can't. By the way, I need to know how you're doing. I'm keeping you accountable. You've been keeping me accountable. I need to know. Where are you at? How are you doing? Okay? I'm not letting you off. Okay. Let's talk about some patriotic students for a few, shall we? Okay, so we've got a group of students. High school students in Des Moines, Iowa. I believe Des Moines, Iowa. And they were at a basketball tournament, a state basketball tournament. The assistant coach for one of the other teams said that the Valley High School played hard. We had a chance to win at the end. Hats off to Valley. They made more plays. He better not be devouring a box of Nutter Butters. I mean, I could eat them, but I could really go for some Nutter Butters. Anyway, okay. Patriotic students. Let's get into this. Okay, so schools. Typically, schools, they have themes, when they go through these tournaments. When I was in high school, our swim team, every single one of them, they would shave their heads and they'd shave their whole bodies. I don't know why, it was just tradition. All of them would. During football playoffs, I can hear the cat alarm in the background. Yes, I don't know why the cat is screaming right now. She's been fed. She has no reason. I don't get it. Anyway, maybe she's upset at this story, and rightly so. It kind of ticks me off. Not the patriotic students. It's everything else that's involved with it. Because when I was in high school, the football team, we would, in order to keep the vibe, the whole school would do their they would have pep rallies. They would dress up for one day. We would dress up like we were from the 20s or from like the 70s. You wear your bell bottoms. One day it was school colors. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys are guilty of it too. They'd call it like Spirit Week or something like that. Well, this particular school has a tradition. This Valley High School, they have a tradition that they wear red, white, and blue instead of school colors for big games like this. Okay? Here's the story. Slick, I got a really good story about Icy Hot on the Jock. It involves Icy Hot and a private that could not for the life of him pass a PT test. If we don't overdose on conservatism here within the next 5 minutes, I will explain in the After the Show. Okay, Valley students had chosen to wear red, white, and blue instead of their school colors, black and orange. Any normal person, any educated person can look at that and think, what the hell are these kids thinking? Yes, John, you are completely correct. So the Polars, so get this, the team that they were playing is filled with players who come from refugee families, and fans took to social media wondering the same thing. Kids are kids, I get it, but I do have questions. I want to know why. So here's what happened. Valley High School student leadership hand-delivered a letter to this other school and said, "To the students and staff of North High School, it has been brought to our attention that the decision by the Valley High School student section to wear USA apparel at our game last night was offensive to members of your community and fan base. We are deeply sorry we have offended anyone in any way. We have traditionally dressed in such a fashion for great games such as the one last night. Everyone here at Valley has immense respect not only for your team and players, but for your community as a whole. Please know that our intent was in no way to offend or demean, just to support our own team in a way we have done before. Congratulations on a wonderful season, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck in the future. Sincerely, Valley High School Student Council Leadership." This kind of BS needs to stop. This PC crap is going to be the death of us. I'm not even getting into, I don't even know if I want to get into, who was that? Steve King, Representative Steve King? Oh, we could talk all night about that. Big deal. You're offended. If you don't like it, go back home. If you want to drape a Mexican flag over you, that's fine. But as soon as you start burning the American flag and waving your Mexican flag or whatever flag you want over ours, that's where I draw the line. If you're so damn offended, so long, sayonara, adios, arrivederci. 안녕하세요. Oh, okay. Well, we did not get to our last story, and that's okay because it's just about teachers who are complaining that the literacy test in order to become a teacher is too hard, so the state decided that they were going to change it and make it easier for people who want to become teachers. It's no big deal. We're not worried at all about the education of the next generation. We're not worried about it, okay? We just need teachers of all colors. It doesn't matter if you're smart or dumb. We just need teachers. People to be teachers, okay? That's what this story was about. If you're interested a little more into it, let me know, and we'll talk about it at a later date. Matter of fact, I'm going to earmark this one just in case. Oh, anyway, I'm looking at the time. I realize, look, that is all the time we have for this week, and God willing, the Stafford Voice will be back next week. You can follow me on Twitter or Gab at Stafford Voice. Look me up on Grassfire, Facebook, or Instagram, wherever you're at, by looking for the Stafford Voice. Also, if you are so obliged, you can email your questions, comments, or concerns to thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. And again, if you have not signed up for our monthly newsletter, please do so. Head over to thestaffordvoice.com at the very top of the screen or the bottom right-hand corner, or if you're mobile, it slides up on the bottom. Fill out your email address, and I promise we will not spam you. Anyway, look, I want to thank you so much for your time, and until next week, thanks, and God bless.